Hello everyone, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. So it's time again for our taroscopes. The first taroscope we're going to do is for the sign of Aries. And of course this is for people who have an Aries Sun, an Aries Moon, or an Aries Ascendant. Because the energy of Aries is naturally rules the first house, this can also be seen as just a generalized view of the month ahead for all of us, but specifically for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So there's a lot of activity, Aries, in your house of relationship. The reason for that is because October is a time when the Sun is, for the most of the month, is in Libra. We have a new moon in Libra. We have Mars in Libra. We have a conjunction between Mars and the Sun in Libra. So that's all happening in your 7th house. The fact that Mars is in that house can indicate that there are challenges within your relationship. If Mars is in that 7th house, it's in Libra, and Mars doesn't really like being in Libra. Mars in Libra is about considered action. And as you know, Aries, you don't really like to consider anything. You just like to do it. You know, the mantra, just do it, is definitely an Aries mantra. Although, it's probably a good idea every now and again for Mars to move through a sign like Libra, because you guys would get in a whole lot more trouble, I think, on the overall. That was a joke. I like to sometimes tell jokes, and sometimes I like to exaggerate different aspects of a sign for comedic value. It is not a value judgment, and please do not get offended if I get a little funny on things, okay? So just, although Aries don't really get offended all that easily. Don't step on their toes, I'll punch you in the nose. But it's hard to offend them because they don't really care what you think, quite frankly. Now, we have the new moon in Libra. It's a very powerful new moon. We have a conjunction. The Sun, Moon, and Mars are in a very tight conjunction in Libra, and that generally means that we have an opportunity to start something new. Now, the 7th house is the house of marriage and partnership. It's the house of business partnerships, but it's also the house of open enemies. So be aware that there can be something brewing in that aspect or in that area of life. So not to say that it will happen, that you're suddenly going to have a new enemy. Chances are you're going to have more friends or more associates, but there's always the possibility. We also have the full moon in the sign of Aries. So the sun being in your first house. The sun being in your 7th house, and then the moon being in your first house. And so that full moon in Aries energy can actually be very emotional for you. It's very easy to have your emotions on your sleeve at that time, and that's occurring on the 20th. There's also a lot of planets changing direction and changing signs. The first planet to change directions is Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn will be going from retrograde motion to direct motion. When these larger planets change direction, it actually takes them quite a while. It takes about 7 days before so they slow down to nearly a stop, and then they turn around. So the time before they actually turn around is usually the most intense time of the month for that energy, right before that planet is going to change direction. And Pluto is the planet of evolution. And so there's a lot of pressure for evolution at this time. There's a lot of pressure. It's going to feel It could feel suffocating, the energy of Pluto. It can feel like there's something bubbling under the surface, or you might actually feel like something's in the air and, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. What is it? Now, this Pluto will turn around in your 10th house of public. It's the house of the public. It's the most public house. So when things happen in that house, people see it, and so people will see the shift within you. It's also a career house, so there can be a big change and a big shift in your career at this time. So that happens on the 6th. That's actually the same day as the new moon. So two big things happening on that day. On the 10th, Saturn, which is a Sunday, Saturn, and that's the 1010 portal. Saturn changes direction and goes direct. I believe it's at 6 degrees or 7 degrees when it goes direct. Saturn in Aquarius falls in your 11th house of friends. And so if things, and goals, new goals, okay. So if you feel like you've wanted to institute new goals or a new vision for your life, once Saturn goes direct, it's going to be a little bit easier to do that. We also have on the 18th, we have both Jupiter, the planet of expansion, which is in Aquarius, also your 11th house, and Mercury, which is in Libra, which is going to be your 7th house. So the 7th house and the 11th house, these two planets start to move direct. These are the two planets that deal with how we think, how our mind works. The Jupiter is more of an intuitive sense, whereas Mercury is more of logical and reasoning sense. And so both those things are going to start to move forward. So if there have been things within your relationships or within your friendships or anything that has to do with those houses where we're interacting with other people, then this is going to be a time when things start to move in that direction. And then your ruling planet Mars goes into Scorpio on the 30th. And because Mars is very comfortable in Scorpio, and it's, besides Aries, it's the planet that rules Scorpio. I mean, Mars rules Aries, it also rules Scorpio. You're going to feel that power. You're going to feel that energy. And this is your 8th house. And your 8th house is a very deeply emotional house. And you will have the opportunity, if you choose, to dig deep into your psychological underpinnings and get down to some core issues. You could do some shadow work, or perhaps you could get some sort of inheritance. You might have some issues with taxes, or maybe not so much of an issue, more of a getting moving on those things. Take the action to do those things that you need to do. So that's just a general look at the astrology. So let's take a look at the cards. I'm going to be using the Arcanum Deck. I'm a little limited on the decks I can use because I'm doing this from inside my house and all my decks are in my office. But we had a thunderstorm where it seems like that's all we ever do. So all it ever does here is rain, and we get a couple of nice days and it rains more. I mean, I don't have to move to Portland, Oregon. I feel like I live in Portland, Oregon lately. Excuse me. Excuse me. So what's ahead for Aries, Aries rising, Sun, Moon, and Aries for the month of October? What do we need to be aware of? So this is a general reading, and it may resonate with you, it may not, but you can always come back and check it out, see if any of it is happening to you. And of course, this is my own intuitive reading of the cards. This is for entertainment purposes. All right. Okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, we start with the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups. So this is the general energy. The Queen of Cups is one of nurturance and one of self-care. And so it is important that you make sure that you are taking care of your emotional needs, that you are nurturing yourself, or that you are being nurtured by somebody. It's very important at this time. I feel as though it helps to ease some of the erratic energy, and perhaps even some of the frustration that you may be feeling with all of this energy in your seventh house, especially Mars being there. What's challenging that? The High Priestess. The High Priestess is your intuition. Now, Aries is a pretty psychic sign. Usually, they're very on point when it comes to things, but this looks, with the High Priestess in the crossing position, it looks like there are things that you don't know about. There are things that haven't been revealed to you yet. And perhaps that's why you're feeling the need to be nurtured. You're feeling perhaps a little insecure in that area of life. At the root, we have justice. We have justice. So there's a balancing of the scales that is happening. And of course, this is Libra card, right? So because this is the Libra card and this is at the root of your reading, I would say all things Libra, Mars, the Sun, the new moon, the full moon with the Sun in Libra, all of those times are going to be very important, in which you're going to have to show a lot of patience and an ability to balance, an ability to be just. Okay, so things are based on your ability to keep your balance through this. The past, we have the star. So you have been, in the past, you have been inspired. In fact, you may have an idea of to start something because of inspirations you reach from the past. But I think that there's a little insecurity as you start this month. In the sky, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is a Jupiter card. Jupiter is going to be going direct on, was that the 18th, I think? The 18th of October, where we may see a change of fortune. So I think once, that kind of makes sense because Jupiter, Jupiter is the fortune, right? It's good luck. And so as it moves forward, things are going to start to expand again in your life. And it is in that house of goals, right? It is in that house of goals. And then the immediate future is the Three of Pentacles. This is, make sure whatever it is that you decide to do, whether it's start a business or, because there's some initiatory process going on here that requires you to be very careful about contracts and making sure you get the right people and get the best people. Make sure you get what you pay for, right? So make sure you get the best you can afford to get when it comes to dealing with your finances, whether it's business expenses, whether it's getting a good accountant or a good lawyer or whatever it is. It's worth the extra money, or the higher salary as it was, or the higher cost of somebody who really knows what they're doing, because in the end it's going to save you money. How it's seen from the outside, we have the Queen of Wands. This is the creative spark. This is the sustainer of the creative spark. So you're going to be seen as very creative, but not just creative as in a flash in the pan, which can happen with Aries. But the Queen of Wands is a Leo energy, and it's the eternal flame. Okay. It also indicates that you're seen as a generous person. And I think it behooves you to be generous. Not crazy with your money, but generous when it comes to coming from a place, not coming from a stingy place. We have your domestic situation, excuse me, I can speak. is the Four of Swords. This is about rest and recuperation. It's also in this deck, this guy is sitting here meditating. This is a quieting of the mind. And because it's your domestic situation, and we have all this Gemini energy, excuse me, Libra energy in your seventh house, it's very important that where you live, or where you spend most of your time, that you have a sense of peace. That you, and it may even be suggesting that when you are home, um, to make sure that you are meditating or doing things that are going to strengthen your connection to spirit. Hopes and fears, the Fool card. Some people would fear this card, but I think Aries actually loves this card because this is all about taking the risk, taking the leap of faith. And if there's one thing Aries are good at, it's at taking the leap of faith. In the outcome, we have the Nine of Wands. So this is the battle-weary soldier, but yet you have a wand, so you are ready. You are ready to take on the world. This wand is actually growing something on it. So you've put a lot of energy into this. So whatever endeavor that you're looking to move forward on, it's not going to be smooth sailing like, woo, you got it. It's going to be hard work, but it's nothing that you haven't done before. And you definitely have the strength and the ability and the savvy, because, the more you do it, the smarter you are about it, right? So you have savvy. Now you just don't have the ability, you have savvy. And I'm going to just see if we can pull to a major arcana. We have the Page of Pentacles, which is the start like of a new project, but like right at the ground floor. The Ten of Wands. Yeah, maybe this is one too many projects. So I would say finish what you have to finish. There's this sense of having to finish something with the Justice card at the root of the reading. Things have to balance out. So I would suggest this isn't about starting something new per se, but it may be about finishing what you already started. And then we have the Six of Swords, moving away from discord. So I feel as though there's something that has been brewing for you. And this is a time when the scales of justice will balance. Now, if you have been thinking about a divorce, which is kind of indicated, now this isn't for everybody. This is for those specific people who have this issue. Make sure you get a good lawyer. Make sure that, get what you pay for there. You will win in whatever that means, right? What does that really mean? I'll tell you won't lose. How about that? I like that better. But it is going to be a challenge. But once it's done, there's going to be a sense of relief and a sense of, all right, I'm going to go on vacation now and get away from all of this craziness. Then underneath it all, we have the Seven of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Three of Wands. I would say beware of money that comes from overseas, whatever that means to you. That's underneath this. You just need to be aware that not everybody has your best interest at heart, which could be that open enemy thing I talked about, right? All right, guys, that's the reading for Aries. I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe. If you know any Aries in your life that this might help, share it with them. And I will see you again next month for the Tarot Scope for Aries. Much love, everyone. Namaste.